Before I get into the nitty-gritty of this video, I just want to make a brief statement about my position in Morocco. When Charles and I retired as lawyers, we chose to come and live in Morocco, a country that we loved and had known for a long time. We have no assets left in the UK. Everything we have is in Morocco, and we are Moroccan residents. Now, I would ask you to bear that in mind when you hear or read my posts and you comment. We live in a Muslim country. I think it's about 95% of the residents of Morocco are Sunni Muslims, and it is a state religion. It is an incredibly tolerant country, whatever people may believe to the contrary, and we have been welcomed, and we thank the government for allowing us to do what we do, because it really is quite unique. We are the only refuge to have so many equines and equines in such difficult circumstances. However, we have to respect and honour the laws and the rules and the culture of the country and work within that. And something that I would ask you to bear in mind is that two examples of things that we cannot do as a matter of law. We cannot at any time attempt to influence a Muslim to question their religion. That is just not permitted. And we are not permitted to give a Muslim alcohol to drink. Those are just two examples. And if we did, and that was reported, we could be deported. If it was reported, we could be deported. And I think that's quite hard for people in the UK to understand. You can be deported from Morocco at a moment's notice. And just over a month ago, an English person, exactly that happened to him. And I know of a lot of Americans who have come and proselytized and tried to impose a form of Christianity on Muslims here. They were deported without any notice on a plane, and off they went, irrespective of what we own or what we have, or the fact that our home is in Morocco. Now, we're very careful, and I'm sure you would understand why, to respect that position. And everybody who knows me here, and particularly the people who work with me, know that I don't have any religion. I'm not religious. But I respect them hugely, and in turn, I hope that they respect me. So if I find a comment on one of my posts that is blatantly racist and anti-Islam across the whole of the Islamic world, I will block that person and remove it. I have a duty to do that under Facebook guidelines and other social media guidelines, but I will not tolerate it. There is good and bad in every culture, and we are so lucky to have been welcomed and be able to do what we do, which brings me on to the nitty-gritty now. A couple of days ago, did a video about the silent patient, which reminded, because we've had a lot of support from the author, and it reminded me so much of a past life of mine, because even before I was a barrister, I worked for the Special Hospital Authority in the UK, and those of you in Liverpool will probably remember that I worked in Ashworth Hospital, a high security hospital, and I was one of the people who blew the whistle about abuse in that hospital. But of course, what I am reminded of my experience is that when I first went to work in maximum security and met what would be considered some very dangerous offenders, even at my age then, I was shocked. I didn't believe that human beings could do to another human being the things that they did, because it wasn't within my experience or my understanding. I very quickly learned that none of those people had had a good, happy childhood. And without exception, those individuals who would commit those crimes would have abused animals as children. and a very important factor when interviewed by a psychiatrist and they interview the family is they ask, did the offender, when they were a child, did they pick the wings off flies or trample on insects for pleasure or ill-treat any animal? And invariably the answer is yes. And I know that exists in any society. So what we have witnessed of late is a series of animals come to us, of which I have no doubt have been sexually abused. Now, the fact I can speak to you about this publicly and openly says a great deal for Morocco and for the men who work with me. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to have this conversation. It would have been considered quite wrong for a woman to talk about such things, and also to be perhaps criticizing, there will be Muslims in an Islamic country, of such a thing. But I think we all have to learn together that this happens in every society. I knew of it a lifetime ago when I worked for the Special Hospital Service Authority, and now it is shocking to find that it is occurring in Morocco. So before all Moroccans are condemned, I have to say what huge support I have had, particularly from young Moroccans here, who are prepared to join with me and help these animals, and deep down recognize what may have happened. But somehow we have to work together, not only to bring about change, but to heal the animals and maybe in turn heal people. Let me stop there for a moment, because I want to make another statement very clearly, is that ever since we have done this work in Morocco, which we never anticipated doing when we came, the whole landscape has changed. Before the pandemic, if you visited us, you would have seen some very well cared for donkeys running round the main paddock. Now if you come, you will see animals that have been injured and seriously injured or starved, who have recovered but will always be disabled. And we have had to change, we have had to develop our skills. I've never been a person to seek fame or sit on committees or align myself with a certain university or a certain organization that I see as important, because I believe the best way to bring about change is actually to act and work with people on the ground, mindful always of the constraints of government, local authorities and so on. And what we have achieved at Ashworth I'm not at Ashworth, I'm at Georgia. What we have achieved at Georgia is truly amazing, because we have a team of men who are utterly committed, and they are capable of performing, in my mind, miracles. So let me tell you, Lucky, who came in just a few nights ago, is doing well. Well, it is unbelievable. Every day still, the men have to loosen the stitches on his rectum and manually evacuate the poo, but we're able to tell from that poo a little bit about the past history. And of course, for a lot of these equines who may have prolapses, it may be due to having eaten plastic, and that has happened to us before. But we know pretty quickly, because along with the rectum is hanging the plastic. In these cases, there has been no plastic. So we have to begin to form the natural, obvious, logical conclusion. Action can't be taken against the perpetrators unless we know who the perpetrators are. But I promise you, if we ever do, action will be taken, as we did in relation to the donkey that had the eyes gouged out on the Mediterranean coast. We took action, we went to court, we went to the prosecutor, and the person was arrested. I believe that's also happened to another dreadful case. We will, but we're always grateful for that information. So today we prepare for a mule coming down. The boys have sent me photographs. They say it's in a bad way. They couldn't deal with the rectum on site. They've bandaged and made the animal comfortable and given him painkillers. And back here, the team of staff are preparing a stable, and we hope that we can have the same success with this animal that we had with Lucky. It's a female, by the way, so we'll have to decide on a name. The other good news when I talk about our miracle workers here back at the ranch is I've seen Abdu this morning, who's Ayub's brother and is in charge of the medical treatment once they get back to base, along with Simo and the other Abdani. And I was over the moon to see the two little donkeys that came from Rabat with broken legs, because Ayub thought one of them would have to be put down, but at the moment they're both doing well, and that they're having their dressings changed at the moment, and I will try and take a video later on. So I do understand that in the West, if you come across these horrors, the instinct of vets always is to relieve the suffering. An English vet looking at some of the cases we've had to deal with recently would recommend euthanization. But we also have another opinion here. These animals have been through so much. They have known nothing but, by our standards, ill treatment. And if between us we can't give them some kindness, some love, some affection, some good food, from respite, they will leave this world knowing only abuse. At least if they stay with us first, they leave this world amongst care. We are with them when they pass, and they know what it has been to be cared for. Now, I have learnt that through a whole lifetime. A lifetime of working in Liverpool, working in the special hospitals, working at the bar with mentally disturbed patients, and all I can do is join the dots and try to come up with some logic. And believe me, those who may criticize me, I will not be beaten. We haven't given up. We are going to continue. We are going to grow. And we already have the plans in my head and in the heads of the men, and that is for the future. So thank you for listening. Quite a long video, and I apologize for that.